Hello yogis, and welcome back to the mat after the Christmas hiatus. I'm sharing a short but oh so sweet practice for the hips and the sacral chakra today. The practice is entirely floor based, and I do recommend that you have some props in order to get the most out of this. You'll need a blanket, 2 blocks, and if you have one, a bolster. If you don't have access to a bolster, you can always just take some big cushions off the sofa, works just as well. I'm going to be timing each of the poses as we hold them together, and when it is time to move out of the pose, you're going to hear this beautiful sound. To move out of a pose, I want you to move slowly. Exhale, rolling up through the spine, moving from the hips, the waist, the shoulders, until eventually the head and neck becomes upright. Now you don't need to worry about anything. I'm going to guide you through all of this. All you need to do is give yourself permission to melt down into these poses, to be present, to go inside, and just listen to the cues as I share them. You can go ahead now and pause this video, go and find your comfiest yoga pants, your snuggliest sweater and those props, and I'll meet you back here on the mat when you're ready. To open the practice, we're going to begin in what's called butterfly pose, sometimes called diamond, and you're going to start off by taking the soles of the feet together and just allowing the knees to spill out to the sides. Grab your blocks. We're going to create a bit of a tower to support the head and neck to make this a really gentle introduction into sort of opening up the back and the hips. You can take the feet away from the body for this pose rather than having them tucked right up to really sort of open the hips. This means we get into the lower back a bit more as well. And you can build sort of like a little tower on your feet, or if you find that you're struggling to move forward here, you can actually put the blocks sort of in between the legs and rest that way. So I'm going to place one block flat and one block lengthways on my feet. Taking an inhale just in that preparation before you move, and as you exhale, coming forward until you feel that stickiness in the hips, like you can't move any further. And then when you're ready, just sinking down, allowing the head to rest on the block. You'll feel a little bit of pressure on the feet here, and that's okay. Just let the arms rest. Everything sinking down. Feel those sit bones pressing down into the floor. We're going to hold here for around 2 minutes. And although this is a very passive posture, for this 2 minutes, I want you to take your awareness into your breath and into your belly. Notice as you inhale, that expansion that you feel through the lower back, into the belly, into the ribs. And as you breathe out, gently draw the belly button back towards the spine, and notice if your body says it's okay to soften. Scan your body for any tension that you might be holding on to here. And you can let out a little sigh if that feels good too. Just breathing and softening, inhale and exhale, without forcing, without pushing. Taking an inhale as you prepare to move. Exhale. You can use the hands to push the body upright, rolling upwards slowly. Just taking a moment to allow each part of your body to find its place again. You don't have to open the eyes here if it doesn't feel good to do so. Just take your time. Feel that lengthening in your body as you move. You can use your hands to bring the knees together. There's no rush here. We don't really want to engage the muscles too much at this point either. Take your hands behind you, the fingertips pointing away. You can just drop the knees to one side and drop them to the other side. No need to have the knees touch the floor here. Just go to wherever feels good. You can push through the palms a little bit, opening the chest. Side to side movement. And coming back to center. I'm going to cross the legs. One leg in front of the other, or you can cross just at the ankles if that's more comfortable for you. If you're finding that you curl when you do this, you find that your chest collapses rather than being able to sit up and out of the hips, this is where you want to grab your blanket and just use your blanket to raise you up a little bit. If the hips are a wee bit higher than the knees, it's actually more comfortable to sit in this position. If you're feeling super bendy today, or if it feels good to do so, you can always have one leg just resting on top of the other. But remember, we want to be very gentle with the body today. It could be your first time on the mat after a few days, especially over Christmas when maybe you've overindulged and you haven't moved a lot. So we don't want to do anything that's going to really stress the body. So remember to be gentle with this. Coming into a seated twist. I'm going to go with my left hand first of all, moving to the right side. So taking an inhale, finding that space between the pelvis and the ribs, lifting away from your pelvis as much as you can. So you're really lengthening through the torso. We're going to take an inhale, and as you inhale, we can reach that left arm up, creating more space. The right hand comes behind you as an anchor, left palm coming to the right knee. Now this is a super gentle movement. We're not trying to yank ourselves into any kind of contortion here. And remember that your cervical spine, the upper part of your spine, is far more fluid and movable than the lower parts. So it's really easy to kind of over twist your head and your neck here rather than the whole spine moving together. So try and keep your head centered between the shoulders rather than twisting over the shoulder. A little bit of pressure with the left hand on the knee to kind of anchor you round, and just push through the fingertips behind you. This is not a deep twist. We're not going to the fullest expression of this pose exactly as we did with the butterfly. Just holding here, feeling that nice squeeze into the sort of mid part of the body and the midsection of the spine. Get conscious about where your shoulders are. Pull them down and away from the ears. Each time you exhale, if it feels good to twist deeper, then go ahead and do that, but make sure you're not forcing anything. This is all about stillness. And we're going to release the twist, exhaling. Take that left hand up and over, bring the right hand back to the center, and you can roll the shoulders a couple of times here. Now, whatever way your legs are crossed, I'm going to get you to cross them in the opposite direction. It's going to feel really weird, I know. If you need to readjust your seat, go ahead and do that too. You might find that you've slid off the blanket a little bit. Same again, but this time we go the opposite way. So I'm going to raise up my right hand, creating space once again, and the left hand reaches behind me, right hand to left knee. Again, see if you can find that balance point between the shoulders. Make sure that you're not trying to twist and look over that left shoulder. Keep the sit bones pressing down into the floor, and stay soft here with each breath. Just notice what you need to let go of. What parts of you are you forcing or pushing? Just breathing, softening. Close your eyes if it feels right to do so. And notice what's happening in your face. Sometimes when we do yoga poses, it's so easy to get caught up in what we're doing. When we get sort of concentrate-y face where everything squishes together, you kind of look a bit angry. So see if you can find not just your inner smile, but find your outer smile with this as well. And we're just about ready to release. Taking a breath in, and as you breathe out, release that right hand. Let the left hand follow you all the way around. And just roll. Perfect. Take your hands behind you to release the legs, and just slowly take them one at a time out in front of you again. We can just do a little drop from side to side with the knees. And this time I'm going to get you to extend your left leg in front of you. With the left leg straight out in front of you, you can bring the right leg in towards the groin into a half butterfly. We're not going to take the leg out to the side, but rather just keep it straight in front of us. You're going to make your little block tower once again. Whatever height you need to make it to, if you need a nice tall tower, if you want it a little bit smaller, but again, make sure that you're not forcing anything. We're going to stay here for about 2 minutes on each side once again. Taking an inhale as you exhale, coming forward, keeping the spine nice and straight until you feel that sticking point where you can't go any further. When you reach that point, just allow the chin to curl towards the chest, let the shoulders round a little bit, and you can come into land wherever those blocks allow you. If you have any sort of whiplash injury or problems with the discs and you don't want to bring the head all the way forward, you can just rest the forearms on the blocks, keeping the spine nice and straight, but still getting the benefit of sinking and opening into the hips and the lower back. You're gently pressing the sit bones down into the floor here. So you want to try and keep them evenly balanced as much as possible. And as we did with our butterfly earlier, taking those deep breaths, inhale and exhale, focusing on the expansion and contraction that takes place when you breathe. Just feeling the difference between the inhale and the exhale, and noticing when your body says it's okay to go further, it's okay to go deeper. Taking an inhale, preparing to move. And as you exhale, Finding your way upright, moving slowly, breathing outwards, rolling up through the hips, the waist, the shoulders, and eventually bringing the head and neck all the way back to that upright position. Take your little block tower out the way once again. You can lift that bent leg, straightening. Take the hands behind you and just have a little shake out at this point. Shaking the legs from side to side. You can give them a bump on the floor as well. And then with the right leg straight, you can take the left leg and bend it into the groin. We're going to go straight into the opposite side. So grabbing your blocks once again, finding the point that feels good here, whatever way you want to have your blocks. Taking that inhale, and as you exhale, coming forward, keep pushing down through the sit bones, and you can rest the forehead onto the blocks. And once again, as we said before, if that doesn't feel good, then just allow the forearms to support you. And you can let everything sink down towards the floor. Focusing on the rise and fall of your belly, the expansion and contraction. Turning inwards as much as possible. Just letting go of the idea of something being right or wrong. Rather just focus on what feels good right now. Inhaling deeply. Exhale to come up. Rolling upwards, hips, waist, shoulders and neck. Coming all the way back to an upright position. Normal breathing here. You can take your little block tower out the way. And just allow that bent leg to straighten. You might want to just rock from side to side. Give the legs a shake once again. Breathing in, breathing out. Just make an adjustment to your blanket if you need to. If you're finding that you've slipped off it, make sure that you've got that under the hips. You're going to need it to support for our second to last movement here. So we're going to come into something called square pose. Square pose is taking our butterfly to a little bit of a new level. So you're going to bend your right leg, and then I would like you to try and have your left foot meet your right knee, and vice versa. Your left knee is directly on top of your right foot. Now, if you're struggling with this, a block just under that knee between the foot actually feels really, really good. You might find that you want something to support this side as well. You can actually use a block on this side if it feels good for you. But really play around with this shape. It's going to be slightly different for everyone. But our aim is to have the feet and the knees coming into alignment. And it's important here that you keep the feet flexed. Don't point your feet, but rather have them flexed in this position. I'm going to use a little block under my knee today because it feels good. You're sitting up tall, making space between the pelvis and the ribs once more. Feel those sit bones equally pressing down into the floor. It's easy when you lift this, my left knee's on top, and what you tend to find is that the sit bones will lift away from the floor as well if you're not so flexible. This is why using the blanket and the blocks really helps to find the best position for your body. Remember, we want the body to feel safe here, comfortable. That's how it opens. That's how you do more and more with your body. So don't ever be afraid to use your props and to make the most of them. Now that we're in our comfortable position, we're going to hold for around 2 minutes once again, taking a deep inhale. And if this feels enough for you, you just hang out here. If you feel like you want to intensify a little bit, you can come forward. Just a gentle lean, and what you'll feel is that left buttock will start to fire. You're going to start to feel something really juicy in there. Only come forward if it feels good to do so. Make sure that the shoulders aren't creeping up around the ears, and I want you to really focus on going inside at this point. There's going to be a lot of mental chatter in this pose. There's going to be a lot of physical sensation going on. Make a deal with yourself to let go of all of these things. To find that still point where all that matters is the breath, of letting go, of being still and quiet. See if you're up to the challenge. Inhaling deeply once again. As you exhale, you can use the palms pressed down into the floor to help to move you upright. Rolling through the hips, the waist, the shoulders, eventually raising the head and neck all the way back to that upright position, holding. Just for a moment, you can remove the block, blanket, anything that you've used to help you here. Slowly, and I would use the hands to do this, you can release the legs, leaning back to release some of the pressure, using your hands just to step one foot, step the other foot. And if you lose your blanket for a moment, if you've been using that, with the fingertips pointing towards the body and the feet pressed flat on the floor, you're going to just raise the butt away from the floor, getting a bit of dynamic movement into the body now. We're not going up into a full tabletop, but rather just raising up and sitting back down. Raising up and sitting back down. Just creating some really gentle motion back into the body. We do this a few times. And each time you can either land your butt back on the floor. If you want a little bit of an extra challenge, you can keep it hovering. The important thing here is to really press through the palms so you're not just hanging in your shoulders here, and press through the soles of the feet equally. So this is not about all the weight being in your upper body, but rather finding that balance point. Let's just do 2 more. And 1 more. Coming into land. You can find your blanket once again. Raising the hips up. We're going to do the other side now. So this time we want the right leg to be on top. We're going to line the right foot and the left knee together. And then the right knee is above the left foot. And once again on this side, that feels really, really nice in my hip. But I think it's going to feel better. Yeah, it feels really good when I use the block. So find your position once again. Find what feels good for you. Remember, your body's going to be very different to mine. We all have the very different sweet spot for this movement. So make sure that you find what's good for you. When you're in the right position, we're going to hold for our 2 minutes once again, taking a deep inhale and just settling into this pose. Or if it feels good, just doing a little lean forward until you feel that first point of resistance, and then just hanging here. Close your eyes if it feels good to do so. Make sure that the feet are flexed. And you can feel the sit bones sinking down into the floor. Take all of your awareness to the belly and the movement of the inhale and the exhale. See if you can find stillness in the discomfort. And once again, taking that inhale, preparing, and as you exhale, slowly rising upwards. Use your hands if that helps, rolling through the spine. Make the head and neck the last part of you to come up. Just notice the space that's being created in your body as you do this as well. Kind of feel taller, don't you, when you come up into that upright position. Once again, shift the weight so that it comes backwards. It allows you to easily move that leg, or as easily as you can after you've been still for a time. Making sure that the knees stay bent. Take the hands behind you once again. Your blanket out from underneath your butt. Fingertips are pushed towards the body. And you're going to lift. Just that gentle bit of dynamic once again. Coming down. And this time you might want to lift a little bit higher. We're not going to go far here. Just creating movement in the parts of you that have been so still. Some dynamic effort. Yang to balance the yin. Push through the palms. Push through the soles of the feet. This is not a passive motion. One more. And coming into land. You can shake out the legs if they're feeling a little bit tight. Shake them, waving hello, goodbye. And if you have a bolster, I want you to grab that now. If you don't have a bolster, you can use some big cushions, or you can even use the blocks that you've got here, indeed your blanket. We're going to use this to open up the chest, coming into our assisted shavasana. So I'm going to get you to take the soles of the feet together once again. Sit yourself right at the very edge of your bolster, or the very edge of your cushions. Slowly begin to roll yourself back. Now, if rolling all the way back onto the bolster doesn't feel good, grab your blocks and you can actually place them under so that it raises up the angle of the bolster. So again, don't force yourself into a position that just doesn't feel comfortable. We're going to take it all the way back, making sure that your head is supported here. So you don't want your head falling off the end of the bolster, but we are going to get a really nice opening in the lower back and also in the chest. So extending the arms down to the side of the body, the palms facing upwards, so you open the shoulders here and open the front of the chest. If that feels too extreme, make sure that you're sort of padding up. You can always use your blanket under your head. There's lots and lots of things that you can do to modify this and make it more comfortable. So once you've found that comfortable position, you can feel everything kind of stretching and opening through the front of the body. Find your stillness here. Take a deep breath in, and if it feels good to do so, let out a little sigh, or a big sigh, even better. You know I'm fond of a sigh. And each time you let out that sigh, just breathe out everything that you need to let go of in this moment. The tension in your body, thoughts in your head. Let it all go now. Find your still point here. Make sure that you're warm and cozy. Just let everything sink and mold around the bolster, the cushions, whatever you're lying on at this point. Let your butt get really heavy and your knees just spill outwards, melting down into the floor. Let the breath become more shallow as your body becomes comfortably heavy. And we can just hold here together in comfortable silence. Gradually begin to deepen your breathing, aware of the sounds around you and the floor beneath you, feeling the sensations both in your body and around it. Wriggle the fingers, wiggle the toes, and if it feels good to do so, you can reach your arms up and maybe just stretch out a little bit. You might want to yawn. Flex your fingers and make fists, rolling the wrists. Gently bring the knees together. Now slowly bring the knees together. You want to roll off the bolster or your cushions without effort. So you can roll whatever side feels good. Let your hands just hold you as you fall to one side. Rolling into the fetal position. Just holding here for a few moments. There's no hurry to move. There's no need to rush. Just curling and breathing. Finding a little movement in your body with each breath. And then using your hands to push up to sitting. You can keep the eyes closed if it feels good to do so here. If you want to open them, just keep the gaze downwards for a few moments longer. Sitting up, either cross-legged or you can sit up on the knees if that feels good to you. Find space between the pelvis and the ribs, taking your hands to your belly. Feeling your breath moving through you, feeling the stuck energy of this sacral chakra, so all around your belly and all around your back. Feeling that begin to loosen and release. You can take your hands to the lower back, using the heel of the hand, just gently rubbing. You know that sensation, my mum used to do this when I was a little girl. When I was tired, she used to rub my back and I love that sensation. It's just gently massaging, creating some heat and some warmth. And then bring the hands back to the belly. You can rub the belly a little here too. Breathing deeply, knowing that you're back in your body, back in the room, fully alert and awake. Holding for a few seconds longer. The sound of the singing bowl signifies our practice is done for today. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me. You can use this practice anytime you feel you need to over the holidays, and indeed beyond. This is yours to do what you will with. And I'm looking forward to sharing so much more with you in 2020. Namaste. What a lovely practice. Well, Yoga Santas, did you enjoy that?